Batman Arkham Knight has been the subject of criticism over the years for various different reasons, including the story and the subject of today's video, the Arkham Knight. A lot of people did not like that the Arkham Knight's identity was essentially spoiled for them in trailers. Luckily for me, I didn't have to worry about that. I never watched the trailers. I didn't even know that they were coming out at the time. But for me, it wasn't ruined. But for a lot of people, it kind of left a bit of a sour taste in their mouth. So today, I'm going to be going through who the Arkham Knight should have been instead of Jason Todd, because I haven't really seen any sort of alternatives. It's more people just don't like the fact it's Jason Todd. And I'm going to be going over the fact why it shouldn't have been Jason Todd in the first place. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe for more content, and without wasting any more of your time, let's go into who the Arkham Knight should have been. Now, first and foremost, we're going to start off with why the Arkham Knight should not have been Jason Todd. And there is a very simple reason for this. It may not be good, but it is simple. I think that a lot of people wouldn't have wanted it to be Jason Todd because of the fact we hadn't seen Jason Todd in the Arkham franchise up to this point. We hadn't met him, we hadn't made any sort of emotional connection or some sort of attachment to him that made us care. We hadn't seen him in the past at all. So him being revealed as the Arkham Knight, even if you didn't watch the spoiler trailers, it kind of just doesn't give you much emotional attachment. The only time you see him beforehand is throughout the course of the game in Batman's flashbacks, where Joker is essentially torturing Jason Todd. But that's not enough for me to really feel like, oh, I'm really upset that it's the Arkham Knight, or I'm really shocked that it's the Arkham Knight. There's just a part of me that just doesn't really care all that much, and that might sound bad. But let's be honest, there is no emotional attachment. And you could say that for other characters that I might mention for who it should have been. But if you're going to make it someone in the Bat family, who you're going to make it someone where it's kind of more of a backstabbing, a more personal type of betrayal, then I think it's more important that you establish these two having a good relationship beforehand. All it really established throughout the course of the game was that Batman kind of just left Jason Todd and stopped looking for him. It's like, okay, then why am I going to care? Yeah, sure, he came back for revenge, but I didn't know him. I didn't know what he would do when he was fighting alongside Batman. So it's not really something I care about too much. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mind the angle of Jason Todd being rehabilitated after being the Arkham Knight and coming back into Red Hood and kind of trying to come back into his vigilante role after the Nightfall Protocol. I respect that. I like that whole concept. However, the game just doesn't do enough with it, for me, in my opinion, for it to make any sort of difference, because it all happens at the end of the game, right? And I like the concept of the DLC, the Roman Sionis thing, but it's just too short. All the DLCs in Arkham Knight, for the most part, with the exception of the one where you play as Batgirl, A Matter of Family, they're all too short, so it doesn't really make much of an impact. So to me personally, I don't think it should have been Jason Todd. I don't really like the fact that it was Jason Todd, and I think that there are better alternatives. So I'm going to give you two. I got an honorable mention, and I have the actual one. So for my honorable mention, it's actually going to be Prometheus. Now, the only reason why he's not the actual candidate for this is because he's already his own character, first of all, right? He doesn't need to become some alter ego to get Batman's attention. But the thing is, he is a very interesting character, at least in my opinion. He's very interesting just because he is what Batman is, but everything is the exact opposite. Literally coming down to their backstory, everything is the exact opposite. Batman's parents were killed by, criminals and bad guys, or a criminal, I should say, whereas Prometheus's parents were killed by the police. Everything that he does is trying to combat the police and trying to take down anybody who stands for justice, and Batman's trying to stop people who cause harm and trying to serve justice. Everything that these two have, they are the exact opposite. They are yin and yang. They're kind of what Batman and Joker should be, except Joker is more pure chaos and he's more entertaining, so I understand why he gets more of the attention. But Prometheus is probably the most underrated evil, villain in any sort of media in general, but Batman specifically, he's the most underrated Batman villain, at least in my opinion. And I think he could have been a good candidate for the Arkham Knight, because I think that it could have been a good cover story. I think it could have been like, if you knew that I was Prometheus, you might have taken me a lot more seriously. But this new guy rolls into town, you might not take him as seriously, you know what I mean? I think that someone like Prometheus could have caused a really good threat. It's entirely possible he could have assembled this entire army, working with someone like Scarecrow, I think it would have been a very interesting dynamic, especially considering the fact he hadn't been in the franchise yet. Now, I know I made that criticism for why it shouldn't have been Jason Todd, but like I said, it's a bit different when you're talking about a villain, because we wanted new villains throughout the course of the series. We didn't want it to just be Batman and Joker the entire time. We wanted something new, which is why Scarecrow was meant to be the main antagonist in this final game, even though he had made an appearance in Arkham Asylum, but he hadn't been a main antagonist. That's why the Arkham Knight was created, to have a new villain and a fresh face. So it being Prometheus or it being the Arkham Knight, you could have just kept Prometheus the same, have him in charge, and have him be the main villain of the story, and everything probably could have been the same just without the Jason Todd segments. And I think everybody would have been perfectly fine with that. So for the honorable mention, it's going to be Prometheus. If you haven't guessed by now, I'm going to give you the last chance to guess who I think that the Arkham Knight should have been. I'm going to give you a second. Okay, time's up. It should have been Anarchy, to me at least. I've been having this opinion for a while now that Anarchy, I even made a video on this, is one of the top 3 most underused villains in the Batman Arkham series. Specifically when you're talking about villains who were used. The villains who were used, he was one of the top 3 most underused. And I think that he could have been a very, very interesting character. I think it could have been an amazing comeback story. You know, we got him in Batman Arkham Origins. I loved his side mission. Loved it. Because I think I can kind of resonate with what he's trying to do a little bit. I can understand his motives and understand why he's trying to do the things he's doing. He's all about getting rid of corruption. He wants that clean world. He wants people to actually think for themselves and to have an open mind as opposed to allowing media sources and journalists to tell you what to think and what to believe. You need to believe your own things and have your own sets of morals and values. And I respect everything that Anarchy stands for. Obviously, the way he goes about it is extreme. Don't get me wrong. But I do think he's a very interesting character who, I understand that there is a lot of that, you know, typical, stereotypical, I guess you could say, oh, we want to get rid of evil. Like when you're talking about, like, the League of Assassins, or you're talking about whoever you're talking about through the course of any sort of media, then yeah, I understand how he can come off as stereotypical. But usually those types of people are, like, in a massive group, almost like a secret society. And in this case, Anarchy is one guy. He's doing it all by himself, and he's just a kid at the time of this game, which, if I'm not mistaken, he's like a very similar age to Jason Todd, actually, so it could have worked very well in terms of, you know, he wouldn't have been too old for the events of the game. I would have loved to see this actually go down, personally. I think it would have been very interesting to have him kind of come back, because like I said, he's young enough to have pulled it off to where, even in Arkham Knight, he would not have been too old to assemble something like this. Especially if he's looking to get rid of corruption. You know, he wants to get rid of vigilantes such as Batman, perhaps. Or maybe he wants to get rid of certain police officers and get the criminals off the streets, and that could be a reason why he wanted to use the Cloudburst. You know, there could have been a multitude of different reasons for it, and the game could have absolutely made it work. And we've met Anarchy before. We have connections to him in the past, so it's not like it's something that's just like, oh, brand new character Anarchy, let's bring him on in, let's see what he can do. No, we have connections to him, and we know that his character works very, very well. I liked his side mission in Batman Arkham Origins, and I think making him a main antagonist could have done much better than someone like Jason Todd or Scarecrow. But guys, this is who I think the Arkham Knight should have been. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Who would you have liked the Arkham Knight to be? And let me know what you guys want to see next. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. I'd appreciate it. It means a lot to me. And I'll see you guys later. Peace!